Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. And don't forget to hit that bell. Stay alert when we release new videos. Our new animals are about to arrive here in just a few minutes. I gotta get up to the barn, make sure everything's set up. Probably gotta get the goats locked up here so that they're not in the way. Let's go up there and get things set up. Guess we'll go get the goats put up first. That way I give them a little bit of treats. They're not in the way here. All right, come on, boys. There we go. All right, now that they're up, we should be good to go to open this gate. We do need to get some stuff set up there. We got to get water going in there in the new water barrel. But let me get this thing out of the way here real quick. All right, let's go ahead and get the water barrel filled up here, or the water container. All right, so that's probably not going to be the final spot for this. I just want to get it set up here on the ground and get that taken care of. This table here, or this trough, we'll go ahead and get that dumped. This will be used for grain. I'll probably put a little bit of hay and stuff in it right now just to kind of keep it off the ground, but we'll use it for some grain and maybe some minerals. That could all change. Again, this is just very elementary level for us right now. We're trying to figure this out, but I'm just kind of making sure that we're all set up to have the new animals when they arrive here very shortly. Make sure everything's set up and ready to go. All right, threw some hay up here for now. Get some nice dry, clean hay up here. And then we'll have the water barrel, water bucket filled up over here. I still need to get the tarp. We'll put the tarp over top. Again, that's all temporary. The goal is to order in the material as soon as possible to build the mobile pasture shelter. It might not be real soon, but we're going to try to get that on order. And until I have all that in and we build that out, that's just going to be a temporary kind of lean-to. Don't know if they'll use it or not. We'll see. We do have some shade up here by the barn and shade out in the woods around the corner behind the pigs. So there are still some areas to get into the shade out here. I'm not too worried about inclement weather. Rain and whatnot's not a big issue. And again, I might end up putting another tarp or roof over top of the lean-to that's already out there that we had for the goats, and we'll use that for an additional shelter. As you can hear, the goats are not happy being locked up. All this old nasty hay and whatnot, it's got pee and poop in it from the goats. There's a bunch of mushrooms starting to grow in here because of all the rain we've had lately. I'm going to be coming out here with a pitchfork. We're going to grab all that and get it out to the compost. We're going to start another compost pile out by the garden. So that's coming here shortly. We've just been battling a lot of rainstorms the last several days. I guess while we're waiting on the arrival of the new animals, we can get in here and try to get this tarp out and see what we can do about opening it up and figuring out what I'm going to need to secure it over there. I know that in the middle of the tarp, when the tarp is pulled on here, that if we get rain or any inclement weather, it's going to blow the tarp around, and the water is going to sit on top of this and dip down, but my goal is, since it's up there, leans this way, we're gonna pull it tight down to the sides as tight as we can, and then as water gets on it, should run right off the front here and should not stay up there and make a big pool of water, hopefully. But again, if it does, it does. I just push it off like at the chicken coops, not a big issue. That's only gonna be in place until I get the other shelter up and working and we can get that pulled around. Let me get this thing opened and see what we can do to lay this out. I hear them. We'll have to get something to secure all those. I'm gonna get some rope and whatnot. We'll pull that nice and tight and get it tighter up there. But for now, the animals have arrived. What do we got? Hey guys, welcome to the farm.
All right. Roll out. Roll out.
Come on. Come on now. There you go. There we go. All right, friend Kenneth just took off. As you saw, we have, well, let me get the goats out first before we do this. All right, boys. I know you've been in there long enough. Thank you for being good. Thank you for being... Did you hurt yourself? Oh, buddy. Twisted his leg jumping down. I did put that other bit of hay out for the goats, so they should enjoy that pretty good. So as you saw, we've got 2 calves on the farm now. They're a mix of red poll for meat side and Jersey for the dairy side, so it's a really good mix. We've got 1 heifer and 1 steer. So the steer is going to be going potentially next winter to freezer camp and stock our freezer with beef. And the little heifer, she's going to grow up and we're going to breed her back to rather an Angus or another red poll bull eventually, and hopefully have a little calves here on the farm. We'll be able to milk her and hopefully have more steer to bring in the future to freezer camp. They're pretty docile. They're pretty, like Kenneth said, he was bottle feeding these guys when they were younger, so they're pretty friendly, not super scared. However, they're gonna take a little bit of time to get used to us. What they first did when we put them into the pasture is they go around the fence line and just kind of discover the fence line and see what's there. And then once they're done doing that, they kind of are on their own grazing. As you can see, they're grazing out here in the pasture and absolutely loving it. We'll see if we can get a little bit closer to them. Hey guys, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get too close to them right now. They will get a little bit closer to us once we start feeding them in the mornings and getting that routine. They'll eventually open up to us and come in and we'll be able to handle them with no problem. They look very similar. The one on the right side closest going to the gate right there, that's the heifer, and the steer is right behind her. Steer is a little bit lighter color, but they're both beautiful, beautiful, beautiful animals. I'm gonna give them time to get accommodated up here in the pasture and they can keep grazing, eat all the hay. We've got our grasses. I mean, we've got a bunch of grass, some bare spots. It's coming in. The rain this week has helped thicken it up and grow back in. So we'll just give him time up here. I don't have any of the anchors or lines or anything that I need for this tarp. So I'm just gonna set this tarp up out of the way just for now. I'll have to track it down. I may end up sending some supplies with Jerry to come up here and we can get this knocked out a little bit later this afternoon. Are you guys eating on the hay? I just set the hay up here for the cows, just more or less so they get used to this trough being here and they can come in and pick at something here and they're not scared of this. I'll end up using probably some dewormer grain or some other Like when we get the brewer's grain, when I start getting out, I'll scoop, I'll feeding them in this trough in the morning for the cows. And then they have water. They've got water there that they can come up here, so they'll be grazing, spending time out there. I've got to get some stuff done over the house, and we'll be back out here to check on them in a little bit. But for now, we'll just let them be out here. I'm wondering what the goats are going to do once they finally see them. They'll probably be freaked out by the cows and run into their house until they realize who they are. All right, the time has come. We're letting the little chickens out, the new chickens. They're getting pretty grown, close to the size of the big girls out back. So we're gonna let them free range. So Jerry came down here to open a door to let them out and start getting used to coming out and going around the coop at least and getting out and about. A little nervous coming out. You can see in the video when she let them out that they're a little nervous. She's just hanging out with them down here and let them get accommodated coming outside here. What are you guys doing? What are you doing?
There was a vulture and they set off the alarm.
Did they run?
All the chickens went back, besides these ones over here, but all the ones out there went back here.
That's good. And Jerry did say that the geese are doing their job. When they came out, there was a vulture flying around up in the sky, and they sounded the alarm, and all the chickens got back to the runs here, the covered runs and coop safely. So that's a good sign. We'll have to see how they do this evening as it gets dark. They should just naturally go right back in. I don't think we'll have any issues with that. The geese especially, I'm just glad they're able to get out because they need to get out and stretch their wings a little bit. They are getting big. And that's the whole reason for this flock of chickens to have free rangers out here in the front yard, front part of the property. Where are you going? You're venturing off pretty far.
First one to go.
Yep. I've got to finish up a couple things inside, but I wanted to come check on the chickens as she was letting them out. All right, guys, done with work today, so it's time to get back outside. I got the wireless mic back on now. I apologize, I didn't have it on earlier, so the audio is a little off earlier in the video. My fault. I had to get the wireless mic set up. I think Jerry and I are gonna get back down to the pasture at the barn, and she's gonna help me. We're gonna just use some bungee cords, I think, for that tarp on top of that cattle chute for the shelter, or not really shelter, but it's more of a shady area for the cows when they come in close to the barn, where we can give them some grain and feed and whatnot. Just trying to give them a little covered area. So we're just gonna use bungees for that and see if that's gonna work. And again, I'm probably gonna eventually put some sort of cover on the other lean-to that's out in that pasture. That'll give us another area of shade. But it's a little small for big cows, but right now, since they're just calves, they're not huge yet, so they can still use that smaller shelter as well. All right, let's go see, put eyes on the cows right now. I believe they're in the wooded area where I thought they would be, around Big Red's pen in the back where the woods is. There they are. Hey guys, laying down in the shade. Now this is one of the main reasons why I didn't fence the pasture in straight over here on the edge of the woods. It's because I did not want, well, I'll back it up. I wanted to have at least a shaded area for the animals to get into, and I knew the goats love all this brush and trees and whatnot to come in here. So it's a perfect spot for the cows to get in this paddock. We'll have another pasture outside in the backfield eventually, and some other pastures that we're going to work on, so stay tuned and we'll continue to work through those. But those will include shaded areas as well. They're just getting accommodated to the new pasture here, and they'll work their way back out and start eating, and especially once they get minerals, I know they come to the barn to get fed, they'll start making a habit of it. Hey guys, what are you doing? Just hanging out? We don't have names for them yet, so if anyone's wondering. So Chuck and Patty is what Jerry and I were discussing to name the calves, and I think it's a pretty good name. What do you guys think? Drop a comment down below and let us know what names you guys recommend. They do have a really cool coloring to them though.
Brindle.
Yeah, it's like a brindle. She's like, I'm going out in the pasture. What are you doing, boy? Yeah, so that's the steer. He's back here, and there he goes. He'll follow her. I'll stay out your way. Give him some space. Go ahead, young feller. I'm gonna hug the weeds. There you go. Get out there and get some yummy grass. We're gonna get back over, like I said, on that cattle chute. We're just gonna use those bungees, try to put up that tarp up there, and maybe that'll give them a little shade area by the barn in the earlier hours of the day to feel more comfortable coming and hanging out so they're not too hot. And you'll hear me referring to heifer and steer. And for those that don't know, a heifer is basically a female cow that hasn't calved yet, hasn't got pregnant and gave birth to a calf. So it's a heifer. And a steer is a bull that has been castrated, cut, and so he can no longer reproduce. So that's a steer. So steer and heifer, that's what we have here. So now we've got 2 goats and 2 calves out here in the pasture. All right, let's see if we can do this without the goats knocking over the camera. It's a little windy out right now, actually. I put these,
We got goat zoomies.
you got the zoomies. Watch out, I gotta lay these down, bud. You gonna help? Here, help me out. Ready? You pushing it down? There you go. Thank you. I had to put the plywood over here, the OSB that was laying over by the pig paddocks. Finally moved it over here. We got to take it down to the compost piles. All right, let's see here. Which way is the long way? This way. So, I guess let me see one of those over. That way you can hold it.
It's attached.
All right, I just want to get it so that it's not keep pulling over. Here, get one right here in this corner because it is easier to.
Which one was it? This one?
I don't know. Did you go on the front one? Yeah, go on the front one. This one.
Yeah, zip ties.
Yeah, we could probably just do zip. Yeah, we'll zip tie that up, hold the top up tight, and then down, we're gonna get this bottom pulled a little bit tighter. All right, so here's what we got. We just kind of pulled the tarp over, kept it taut with some zip ties. We put them down along the edges to hold those in to keep the tension, and then some bungees to kind of pull tension on the front. And this will give us some nice morning shade here for the cows in the morning. We'll keep their feeder and minerals underneath this just to try to keep it out of the rain for now. And then I just got to dump the water bucket. We're going to move it right over in here. And that way it gives them a water source in here. I'll probably put it up in this corner so they can see it easier. They'll have some of this. And they, of course, they still can go out here like they're doing now, out in the pasture right out there, grazing away. I also like to try to keep the water shaded somewhat because if it just sits in the direct sun all day long, it starts getting warm, and nobody likes warm water to drink. You're talking about maybe doing water up front here, and then minerals can go right there. Still covered, but then the water we'll put right out here. And when I get the next batch of brewer's grain later this week, I'll probably get that hay out of there, just set it on the ground here for them, and then we'll put a scoop or 2 of brewer's grain in there every morning for them, so they have that to munch on as well.
Wayne,
what are you doing? It's like a toy. It's a playground for them.
Wayne.
We are due to come out here and
I'm stuck.
I say pasture technically. We only have this little bit of obstacles that we kind of piece together with some scrap. I want to build it up. I want to build something for the goats to have something to play with out here a little bit better. And we might end up using an old lean-to. We can kind of put a roof on that. Maybe we'll put some shelving in there and some stuff for them to play around with. I'm not sure. We'll eventually get to that. Hey, if he can rub against it and scratch his back, he's all for it. All right, guys. Well, again, feels good to get the shelter, kind of the tarp put on here for the cows. And as you guys see, we have cows on the farm now, a heifer and a steer. They're gonna be here for the next few years. While the heifer's gonna be here for a while, we're gonna eventually breed her back to Angus or another red poll, something. We haven't figured out what we're gonna do. We may end up getting a bull here on the farm down the road, but for right now, we've got the heifer and the steer. The steer is scheduled December 13th of 2023 to go to the processor. So he'll be around here until then. The heifer, she'll be here long-term for us, hopefully as a breeding cow. But it feels good to have them on the farm. The grass is doing real good out here too. And perfect timing with the rain that we had. It's all sprouting back up and doing good since I bush hogged it low several weeks back. And the cows are loving it. The farm is growing, guys, and there's a method behind all the madness. We're not just throwing animals on the farm. I might do a video here in the future kind of explaining our thought process behind all this, the business plan, and everything that goes into deciding what animals to get on the farm and whatnot. These cows just happen to be kind of fallen in place. We didn't expect to have them this early on. We were in the planning stages for them. However, a good friend Kenneth reached out and just happened to have this steer and heifer and asked if we'd be interested. And we took about a day or two to think it over to really figure out. I initially said no, and then we thought through it and figured, you know what, let's go ahead and get these guys. They're half red poll meat cow, half Jersey dairy cow. So whenever she gets pregnant and does have a calf, she's gonna be pretty good to milk. So I can't wait to try that experience down the road, but that'll be a couple years from now, not anything in the near term. All right, guys, I appreciate everyone following along to the end of the video. Stay along with us as we grow out our farm here. More and more animals come on. We still need names for all of them, so help us out with that. All right, but until next time, guys, we'll see you later.